Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Weekly Coder. I'm Chris, and today we are going to continue on with our Pac-Man clone. And what we're going to do today is just a few simple things, and that is to add some sound to our game. And because we haven't done anything else like anything special for when we're collecting the Energizer pellets, we're only going to be adding sounds that are actually the background sound. And the chomping sound, the waka waka sound. Okay, so that waka waka sound is actually two different sounds. Okay, so one is like a lower pitched and then one is a higher pitch. So and those two sounds they alternate between each pellet. So we're gonna get into that. And the background sound that's just gonna be really simple. We're just gonna add an audio source to our game object and play the background sound on a loop. And next week, I think we'll finally get into grabbing the Energizer pellets, which will also add the sound to then, because once you collect those, there's a different background sound that plays, and the ghosts turn blue and they start to go into their frightened mode, and then they're going to run away. So that's next week. This week, we're just going to start with some basic sounds so that we can get used to adding those and get some experience with that. So let's go ahead and get started. What we're going to do is first we're going to create a folder in our assets folder here. How we've got animations, graphics, prefab, scenes, and scripts. We're going to add another folder and we're going to call this one sounds. And in the sounds folder, I've got three sounds for us, and we're gonna I'm gonna add a link to the download for those, but they are background, chomp 1, and chomp 2. Okay, and those are the three sounds here. All right, now to get the background sound, we are just gonna go to the game object. We're gonna go add component, type in audio source, and just click on that. And you'll see it's got a property for audio clip, okay? And it's also got some other options here. This is checked by default, play on awake, meaning that the sound is going to play as soon as the game object is initialized. So the other one we want to check here is loop, because we're going to want to loop this background sound continuously while the game is playing, all right? So we're going to go ahead and grab, let's see here, make sure 3D sound effects, we don't care about those. We're going to grab our background audio clip and we're just going to drag it up here to audio clip, okay? So now when we play the game, we've got this background sound that I'm sure you've all heard before, okay? But we still don't have any sounds for collecting pellets. So what we're going to have to do now is we're going to have to get out of here, and we are going to, let's see, probably in Pac-Man is the best place to put this. Alright, so we're going to go to our scripts folder here, and we're going to double click on Pac-Man. That's going to open MonoDevelop. And alright, we've got our Pac-Man script up here. Alright, so a few things we're going to need are some variables. And the variables that we're going to use, for one, we're going to need to create a Boolean, and we're going to make that one private. So I'm going to put it down here with all the other privates just to keep things organized. We're going to create one and we're going to call it, it's going to be a Boolean, and we're going to call it played chomp 1. I'm going to set that equal to false in the beginning. And that's going to just keep track of whether we played the first chomp sound, okay? So the other ones we're going to need are going to be references to the audio clips themselves. So we're going to create public variables, and they're going to be of type audio clip. And we're going to call this chomp 1, and then another one, and we're going to call this one chomp 2. Okay, so we've got our two audio clips, and those we're going to assign in the inspector. And then we need one more, and we'll make this one private as well. and that's a reference to our audio source component. Okay, and we'll just call this audio. And in our start method, we are going to initialize our audio variable. And all we're going to do is we're going to get transform dot get component audio source. And that also means that we're going to have to add an audio source component to our Pac-Man game object. Okay, so we've got audio equals transform dot get component audio source. Okay, that initializes this variable. And then we're going to create a new method right here, and we're going to call it play chomp sound. Okay, and it's just going to be void because it's not going to return anything. And then we're going to do some logic here. We're going to say if played chomp1, then let's put a little comment here. Then we're going to play chomp2 because we've just played chomp1. And we're going to set played chomp1 to false because we didn't play chomp1. Otherwise, if we haven't played chomp1, then we are going to play chomp1 and set played chomp1 to true since we've just played chomp1. Okay? So all we've got to do now is call that audio. We're just going to call this audio variable, and we're going to use a method called play, or actually play one shot. And all this takes is the audio clip. So here we're just going to put chomp2, and then in the else statement we need to play chomp1. So we're going to do audio dot play one shot chomp1. Okay. And the other thing we've got to do is we've got to set played chomp1 to false. And the reason we do this is because if played chomp1 is continuously true, it's only ever going to play chomp1. Okay, so every time this gets called, it's only going to play chomp2. But we also want it to play chomp1. So as soon as we play chomp2, we set played chomp1 to false, which invalidates this logic. And the next time this gets called, it'll jump to the else statement because played chomp1 is false. So we go to the else statement, then we play chomp1, and then we set played chomp1 equal to true, so that the next time it's called, this is true, and then this will play. Then it sets it to false, then the next time it's called, this will play. Alright, so that's how we go back and forth here. We alternate between the chomp1 and chomp2 sounds just by doing this. Alright, so the only thing left to do in our script is to actually call this method. So play chomp sound, and we should probably call this method every time the Pac-Man collects a pellet. And we've already set that code up for ourselves because we've already set it up so that we're keeping score, right? So we should be able to just search for score. All right, so that's a method called consume pellet. So here we're saying the score gets updated by 1, and pellets consumed gets incremented. So after this, we could just call play chomp sound. All right. So that should be it for our script. So let's go ahead and go back to Unity and go to our Pac-Man game object. And you'll see there's no audio source component here for us to reference. So we're going to go ahead and add one. And it's still there, so we're going to say audio source. We're not going to assign a clip because what we're doing is in the script, when we're using that reference to audio source, we're telling it which clip to play. Okay? So the only thing left to do in the inspector now is to add chomp1 and chomp2 right here. We have to actually assign these audio clips. So we'll go into our sounds folder, we'll grab chomp1, assign it to the chomp1 property, we'll grab chomp2, assign it to the chomp2 property, and now we should be able to play the game and we should have the waka waka sound. Alright, let's have a look and see how that works. Okay, so right now it's more like waka 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 waka, when it should be Waka 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 waka, right? So how do we make that sound faster? Well, we don't make the sound faster. What we've noticed here is that Pac-Man is essentially just moving too slow. And that's something that I've been kind of wrestling with since I've started this tutorial because it did seem like at first that Pac-Man was moving a little too slow. So we're going to have to speed him up a little bit. Okay, so we're going to have to go to our Pac-Man game object here and look at our speed property and see how it's set to 4. Let's go ahead and set it to 6. See what happens. Let's go ahead and press play. Okay, that sounds much better. Yeah, I'm liking this one. That speed seems much better. Okay. So the other thing we've got to do, since we increased Pac-Man's speed to 6 from 4, we're also going to have to increase the speed of the ghosts, alright, because that's still at 3.9. So we're just going to select all these ghosts together and change the move speed to 5.9 instead of 3.9. Okay, so they're still slightly slower than Pac-Man. And there's one other thing I want to do here, and that is to rename these because these are the names. I don't I don't like them. They're just too crazy, and my OCD is going nuts here. So let's come up with a good convention here, and I'm thinking that we're just gonna go with ghost underscore Blinky, and then ghost underscore Pinky, ghost underscore Inky, and ghost underscore Clyde. So, and these, because, alright, so I don't really have to do this because we don't need them to be prefabs, but because these are blue, that means they're prefabs, and these aren't prefabs, so I'm just going to go ahead and drag them down to the prefabs folder so that they become prefabs. Oops. Alright, so we've got Inky and Clyde. Alright, so now we've got these set as prefabs, and they're the ghosts, and we're all good. The only other thing we've got to do now, since we've renamed these, we're going to have to make some changes in the scripts, and I don't know where all they're referenced, so we're going to have to just go through one at a time here. So the tags didn't change. Alright, so nothing in the game board script. Pac-Man, let's just do a general search for ghost. Nothing found. Probably just the ghost script then. Let's look for ghost. Ghost here. Alright, game object.find ghost.transform.local position. And that's for get blue ghost target tile. And that's because we're trying to use Blinky to help get the position for where Inky's going to go. So instead of just using ghost, we have to use ghost underscore Blinky because we renamed him. So let's do some more searching for ghost here. Okay, I think we're done. So let's save that. Let's close the script and let's play and let's see if everything's still good. Yes, and the ghosts are moving much faster too. Ah, I would have died right there. it's so cool. Like the game is really coming together. We now have a background sound, and we have our Waka Waka sound for collecting the pellets, which is all really really cool. Um, it's actually turning into more of a game now, right? We've got our Pac-Man moving around. We've got ghosts with AI, and it's all perfect. It's awesome. Right. So that would be the end of the tutorial. I know it was short, and maybe you guys were hoping for something a bit longer, but that's how it goes. Sometimes the tutorials are a little longer and a little more involved, and sometimes they're a little more simple. So, you know, play around with it. Feel free to, there isn't much more I can show you on this one. But like I said, next week's going to be a little more exciting because we're going to get into a little more of the gameplay mechanic, as so that we can turn those ghosts into frightened ghosts, and so that Pac-Man can go eat them, so that we can progress with our gameplay, because that's what our ultimate goal is, right? Is to actually finish this and get to a stopping point. So with that, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget, comments go down below, and very, very important, don't forget to subscribe. Subscriber counts are still going up at a pretty steady pace, so I appreciate you guys for that. Thank you so much for subscribing and for watching my videos. I'm glad you guys enjoy them. Again, if you have any questions, please comment down below. Yeah, that's it. So I'll see you next week.